Every night at 2 a.m., I'd hear footsteps outside my wife's bedroom door. At first, I thought Marcus was just being a good son, checking on his sick mother. Then I installed a camera. What I saw made me call the FBI. My name is Sam Pearson, and I'm 58 years old. I've been building things my whole life, first for the Navy in Iraq, then construction projects all over Ohio. But nothing prepared me for having to tear down my own son's lies to save my wife. Let me back up. I run Pearson Construction here in Cleveland, and we just landed the biggest contract of my career, a $12 million highway expansion project. The kind of job that sets up your retirement, you know? Problem was, it meant 3 months on the road, managing crews from Toledo to Columbus. My wife Maggie understood. She always did. 32 years of marriage to a construction guy. She knew the drill. Back in Iraq, I was a Seabee Navy construction battalion. We built forward operating bases, repaired runways under fire, that kind of thing. The work taught me to read blueprints, but more than that, it taught me to spot when something's structurally unsound, when the foundation's compromised. I should have applied that skill to my own family sooner. Maggie started having health problems right before I left for the highway job. Shaky hands, trouble walking, forgetting things. Our family doctor said it looked like early Parkinson's disease. Hit her at 56, which the doc said was unusual but not impossible. Marcus, our 28-year-old son, stepped up immediately. Said he'd take care of everything while I was gone. Marcus used to be our golden boy, college football star at Ohio State until a knee injury ended that dream. Torn ACL in his junior year, right when scouts were starting to notice him. That injury changed him, I think. He went from being this confident athlete to, well, something else. Now he worked for some financial planning company in downtown Cleveland, lived in a nice apartment in Ohio City. Good kid, we thought. Maybe a little too fond of betting on games, but nothing serious. At least that's what we told ourselves. The first few weeks on the highway project, everything seemed fine. I was managing a crew of 40 guys, coordinating with state inspectors, dealing with the usual headaches of road construction. Meanwhile, Marcus would text me updates about Mom, had a good day today, physical therapy went well, sleeping better with the new medication, standard stuff. When I called to talk to Maggie directly, Marcus would explain she was resting or the medication made her too tired to talk. I stayed in motels mostly, sometimes sleeping in the site trailer when we were working double shifts. The project was a major interchange reconstruction, the kind of complex engineering that requires constant supervision. One mistake, and you're rebuilding from scratch, losing millions. I'd call home every night around 8 p.m., but somehow never managed to catch Maggie awake. She goes to bed early now, Dad, Marcus would explain. The medication makes her really drowsy. Then I got that 3 a.m. phone call. I was in my hotel room in Youngstown, dead tired after a 16-hour day, dealing with a concrete pour that went sideways. The phone rang, Maggie's number on the screen. I figured maybe she couldn't sleep and wanted to chat. We used to do that when I was deployed overseas. Instead, I heard crying, not normal crying, desperate, scared crying, the kind of sound that makes your blood freeze. In the background, there was this voice, male voice, but not Marcus. Someone I didn't recognize. Please, I heard Maggie whisper and her voice sounded wrong, thick, like she was heavily medicated. I don't want to take it anymore. It tastes wrong. Then I heard another voice, clearer. You have to drink it all, Mrs. Pearson. Doctor's orders. The line went dead. My hands were shaking as I hit radial. In Iraq, when something felt off, you didn't ignore it. That instinct had kept my squad alive more than once. This felt off. Marcus answered on the first ring, sounding wide awake for 3 a.m. Dad. Everything okay? I just got a call from your mother. She sounded upset. There was a pause. Just a half second, but I caught it. In construction, timing matters. You learn to notice when someone's thinking too hard about their answer.
Oh, that?
Yeah, she gets confused at night. The Parkinson's medication sometimes causes hallucinations. Dr. Walsh said it's normal. I had to help her back to bed. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Marcus sounded too prepared, like he'd rehearsed that answer. But I was 200 miles away, and my son was there taking care of his sick mother. What was I supposed to do? Drive home at 3 a.m. based on a feeling. Who else is there, Marcus? I heard another voice. Another pause. Oh, that's Ryan. Remember Ryan Torres from college? He's been helping me out with Mom when I have to work late. He's in financial services now, too. I remembered Ryan. Big guy. Played offensive line when Marcus was quarterback. Seemed decent enough back then. But what was he doing at my house at 3 in the morning? Why is Ryan there so late? We were going over some paperwork. Mom's medical expenses, insurance stuff. You know how complicated it gets. Ryan's good with that kind of thing. The explanation sounded reasonable, but that feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. In the military, we called it situational awareness. When details don't line up quite right, you pay attention. I finished the Youngstown phase early and drove home unannounced. It was a Thursday afternoon, around 2 p.m. I wanted to surprise Maggie, maybe take her out for coffee if she was feeling up to it. The drive gave me time to think about that phone call, and the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. The house was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. I found Maggie in the living room sitting in her chair, staring at nothing. She looked like she'd lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks. Her hands weren't just shaky anymore, they were trembling constantly. But what really got to me was her eyes. Empty. Like nobody was home behind them, Maggie. Henny, I'm home. She turned to look at me, and for a second I saw panic in her eyes. Real fear. Then it was like a curtain came down and she just looked confused. Sam, are you supposed to be here? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. We'd been married 32 years. I'd never needed permission to come home. Before I could answer, Marcus walked in from the kitchen. He looked surprised to see me, but recovered quick. Too quick, maybe. Dad, you're early. How's the project going? I studied my son's face. He seemed nervous, which was odd. Marcus had always been cool under pressure. Comes with being a quarterback, I guess. Project's fine. How's your mother? Some good days, some bad days. Today's been rough. The doctor increased her medication yesterday. I looked at Maggie again. She was my high school sweetheart. The woman who waited for me through 2 deployments and 30 years of construction projects. I knew every expression on her face. This wasn't Parkinson's confusion. This was fear. What kind of medication increase? Dr. Walsh adjusted her evening doses. Said she needed stronger stuff to help with the tremors and sleep issues. Dr. Stephen Walsh, I remembered him from when Marcus played college ball. Sports medicine guy who'd treated Marcus's knee injury. Seemed competent enough, but what was a sports doctor doing treating Parkinson's? That should be a neurologist's job. That night, I heard those footsteps again. 2 a.m., just like clockwork. Marcus going into his mother's room. But here's the thing. When I was in the Navy, they taught us to pay attention to details that don't add up. The footsteps were too careful, too deliberate. Not the walk of a son checking on his sick mother. More like someone trying not to be heard. I lay there listening, timing it. 35 minutes. What takes 35 minutes of checking on someone who's supposed to be sleeping? The next morning, I told Marcus I had to go back to the job site for equipment inspection, but instead, I drove to the local electronics store. 20 years of construction work teaches you about security systems. Job sites get robbed all the time. You learn to protect your equipment. I bought 4 small cameras from a specialty shop that catered to contractors. Military-grade stuff, not the cheap home security junk. The kind we used in Iraq to monitor supply convoys. Cameras small enough to hide in a smoke detector or alarm clock, with night vision and sound recording. All connected to an app on my phone, recording everything to a secure cloud server. The sales guy knew his business. These are what we sell to insurance investigators, he told me. Court-admissible video quality. When Marcus left for work the next day, I installed them. One in Maggie's bedroom, hidden in the digital clock on her nightstand. One in the kitchen, tucked into a smoke detector. One in the hallway, disguised as a carbon monoxide detector. The 4th one I kept as backup. I told Maggie I had to go back to the job site for a few days, but I actually drove to a motel 20 miles away in Parma. Close enough to get home fast if needed. Far enough that Marcus wouldn't accidentally spot my truck. The first night, nothing unusual happened. Marcus brought Maggie her evening medication, helped her to bed, said goodnight. Normal stuff, but I noticed he stayed in the room longer than necessary, and he had a small bag with him that he didn't have when he went in. The second night changed everything. I was watching the live feed on my phone when Marcus entered Maggie's room at 2:15 a.m. He had something in his hand, looked like a small bottle or vial. He sat on the edge of her bed and shook her awake. "Time for your nighttime dose, Mom." Even through the phone speaker, I could hear Maggie's voice was slurred, like she was heavily drugged. "Marcus, please, it makes me feel so sick. The doctor says, you need it. Come on, just drink it down." That's when I saw him add something to the cup, something from a small vial he pulled from his pocket. Whatever it wasn't prescribed medication. The movement was practiced, like he'd done it many times before. I watched my son, my own flesh and blood, force that liquid down his mother's throat while she cried and tried to push him away. Her movements were weak, uncoordinated, like she was already half unconscious. "Please, Marcus, it burns my throat. Why does it taste so bitter?" "It's just the new formulation, Mom. Dr. Walsh said it might taste different. You'll feel better in the morning," but she wouldn't feel better. I could see it in her face as the drug took effect. Her eyes rolled back, her body went limp. Marcus waited until she was completely unconscious, then pulled out his phone and made a call. "It's done for tonight," I heard him say. "Yeah, she's out." "No, she won't remember anything. We can move to the next phase tomorrow." "The next phase of what?" I saved the video file and drove straight to Cleveland. I needed to see Dr. Walsh's office, get a feel for what kind of operation he was running. The building was in Beechwood, one of those medical complexes where specialists cluster together. Expensive neighborhood, expensive cars in the parking lot. Walsh's office looked legitimate enough from the outside. Sports medicine practice, focusing on professional and college athletes. But when I walked in, something felt off. The waiting room was empty at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. No patients, no staff except a receptionist who looked nervous when I asked about my wife's treatment. "I'm sorry, but Dr. Walsh is with a patient." "Do you have an appointment?" "I want to see my wife's real medical records." Her face went white. "I'm sorry, what do you mean by real records?" "I mean the records that show what he's actually treating her for versus what my son is paying him to put on paper." She fumbled for her phone. "Let me get Dr. Walsh." Within minutes, the man himself appeared. Dr. Stephen Walsh, looking older than I remembered, with expensive clothes and nervous eyes. He gestured me into his private office, which was way too fancy for a sports medicine practice. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, artwork that probably cost more than most people make in a year. "Mr. Pearson, good to see you. How's the construction business?" "Cut the small talk. Doc, I want to see my wife's real medical records." His smile faltered. "I'm sorry, what do you mean by real records?" "I mean the records that show what you're actually treating her for versus what my son is paying you to put on paper." Walsh went pale. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding is thinking I'm stupid enough to fall for this scam." I leaned forward in my chair. "Here's what I know. My wife doesn't have Parkinson's. She's being poisoned, and you're providing medical cover for it, Mr. Pearson. I can assure you that your wife's diagnosis is legitimate. The tests clearly show." "What tests?" "Show me the brain scans. Show me the blood work. Show me anything that proves she has a degenerative disease." Walsh's hands were shaking now. "The files are. There's been a computer issue. I'll have to email them to you later." I didn't get the records, but I got something better, confirmation. The look on Walsh's face told me everything I needed to know. My wife wasn't sick. She was being poisoned, and this doctor was part of it. That afternoon, I called Agent Patricia Reed at the FBI field office in Cleveland. Patricia and I served together in Iraq. She was military police. I was combat engineering. We'd kept in touch over the years, mostly Christmas cards, and the occasional beer when work brought me near her office. Sam Pearson, as I live and breathe. "What's it been? 3 years. Pat, I need help. Official help. Someone's trying to kill my wife, and I've got it on video." The line went quiet for a moment. "Sam, you better not be joking with me." "Do I sound like I'm joking?" "No, you sound like a man whose foundation just collapsed. Tell me everything." I spent an hour on the phone with her going through every detail. The 3 a.m. phone call, Marcus's behavior, the surveillance footage, my confrontation with Walsh. Patricia listened without interrupting, taking notes. "I'm sending you a secure email link right now. Upload everything you have, video files, audio recordings, photos, whatever. We'll analyze it tonight." I sent her the video files from my phone. The footage was clear as day. Marcus adding something to Maggie's medicine, forcing her to drink it, making phone calls afterward. By the next morning, Patricia called back. "Jesus, Sam. We're opening a case immediately. This is attempted murder, medical fraud, and probably financial crimes too. How much is your family worth? The construction company's valued at about $3.2 million. House, savings, everything together, maybe $4 million total. Enough to kill for, unfortunately. We need to move fast. Can you get us inside? We worked out a plan. I'd go home, act normal, keep the cameras rolling. The FBI would monitor everything remotely and move in when they had enough evidence to make arrests that would stick in court. Patricia assigned a full team, white-collar crime specialists, toxicology experts, surveillance techs. We're treating this as an organized conspiracy, Sam. Your son isn't working alone, that doctor, the friend who was at your house. This is bigger than family greed. We need to catch all of them. The hardest part was sitting across the dinner table from Marcus that night, knowing what he was doing to his mother, and not grabbing him by the throat. But I'm not 25 anymore. And I'm not stupid. I wanted justice, not revenge. In Iraq, rushing into a situation without proper intel got people killed. How's the project going, Dad? Good. Should wrap up next week, actually. Ahead of schedule. I saw something flicker in his eyes. Panic, maybe. If I was coming home permanently, his timeline was accelerating. Whatever he had planned for Maggie, he was running out of time. That's great. More time to spend with Mom. Yeah, I'm thinking of scaling back on the long-distance contracts. Maybe focus on local work. Spend more time at home. Marcus nodded, but his jaw was tight. She'd like that. She misses you when you're gone. If only he knew how much. That night, I watched him prepare what I now knew was a lethal dose. The FBI lab had analyzed samples from previous videos through a contact at the Cleveland Clinic. Marcus was using a combination of sedatives and amphetamines, enough to cause heart failure in someone Maggie's size. The toxicologist explained that he'd been slowly increasing the dosage over weeks, building up to a fatal dose that would look like natural cardiac arrest. The beauty of this poison cocktail, Agent Reed explained over the phone, is that it mimics the symptoms of late-stage Parkinson's. Tremors, confusion, difficulty swallowing. If your wife had died, the death certificate would have listed natural causes. No autopsy, no questions. At 2 a.m., when Marcus entered Maggie's room with his poison, federal agents were already surrounding the house. Patricia had positioned her team in the woods behind our property, using night vision equipment to monitor all exits. 2 agents were dressed as utility workers, parked across the street in a van. I met Agent Reed at the front door with my key. We moved quietly through the house, following a tactical plan we'd rehearsed over the phone. In Iraq, coordination saved lives. Same principle here. Through Maggie's partially open door, we could see Marcus sitting on the bed, holding a syringe this time. Not just pills, he was escalating to injectable drugs. This will help you sleep better, Mom. You won't hurt anymore after tonight. The words chilled my blood. This wasn't just about money anymore. He was telling her goodbye. That's when Patricia kicked the door open. FBI, drop the syringe and put your hands up. Marcus spun around, and for a split second, I saw my little boy's face. A kid who used to help me measure lumber for weekend projects. Who'd catch fireflies in the backyard on summer nights. Scared, confused, looking to his dad for help. Then reality hit him, and he became something else. Something cold and calculating. You don't understand, he said to me, his voice flat and cold. She was going to live for another 20 years. I have debts, real debts, the kind where people hurt you if you don't pay. How much, Marcus? $200,000. Sports betting, cryptocurrency, some poker games that got out of hand. I was going to pay it all back from the business sale. The agents cuffed him while I held Maggie. She was barely conscious, but she was alive. Her pulse was weak and irregular from whatever he'd been giving her, but she was breathing. That's all that mattered right then. Dad, Marcus said as they led him toward the door, I never wanted to hurt her. I didn't know what else to do. I looked at my son, really looked at him, and realized I didn't know this person at all. Maybe I never had. The whole network unraveled fast after that. Dr. Walsh flipped immediately, gave up everything in exchange for a reduced sentence. Turns out he'd been running fake disability claims for athletes for years, collecting insurance money for non-existent injuries. Marcus was just his latest client, but the biggest payout he'd ever attempted. Ryan Torres, Marcus's college buddy who worked at the financial firm, had been helping set up fraudulent power of attorney documents and forged insurance claims. The plan was to have Maggie die of natural causes from her Parkinson's disease. then liquidate everything before anyone could ask questions. Ryan had clients lined up to buy the construction company assets at below market prices, splitting the profits with Marcus. What really got to me was learning how long they'd been planning this. The FBI found emails going back 8 months. Marcus had been researching Parkinson's symptoms, studying how to forge medical records, even practicing with different drug combinations on lab rats he'd bought from a veterinary supply company. "Your son is extremely methodical," Agent Reed told me. This wasn't a crime of passion, this was a business plan. The trial lasted 3 months. I testified twice, once about the surveillance footage and once about Marcus's financial situation. Watching those videos in court, with my son 20 feet away in handcuffs, was the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than anything I faced in Iraq. Marcus got 15 years federal prison for attempted murder and conspiracy. Walsh lost his medical license and got 8 years for medical fraud and racketeering. Torres got 5 years and had to forfeit his assets, including a $300,000 condo he'd bought with money from previous schemes. The sentencing hearing was brutal. Marcus's lawyer painted him as a desperate young man crushed by gambling addiction, trying to salvage his life. But the judge wasn't buying it. "You didn't just plan to kill your mother," Judge Morrison said. "You tortured her for months. You made her believe she was losing her mind. That level of cruelty goes beyond desperation." Maggie recovered completely once the poison cleared her system. Took about 6 months, but she's back to her old self. Better, actually. The doctors said it was remarkable how quickly her body bounced back once the toxins were gone. The tremors stopped. Her memory returned, her strength came back. It was like watching someone come back from the dead. Going through something like that makes you appreciate every normal day. Every morning, coffee together. Every conversation about nothing important. Every time she laughs at my terrible jokes. The simple fact that she's alive and healthy feels like winning the lottery every day. I restructured the construction company as a veteran-owned business and cut back on the traveling contracts. At 58, I realized I'd rather make less money and spend more time with the woman I almost lost. We're working on smaller projects now. Residential additions, commercial renovations, things that keep me within an hour of home. We don't talk about Marcus much. Maggie writes him letters in prison, but he's never responded. She sends them anyway, every month, telling him about her recovery, about the business, about ordinary life outside those walls. Maybe someday he'll want to make things right. Maybe not. Either way, we're moving forward. The hardest part wasn't catching him or testifying against him. The hardest part is knowing that if I'd been home more, if I'd paid attention to who my son really was, instead of just being proud of his college achievements and his downtown apartment, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe I would have seen the gambling problem getting worse, the desperation building up, the moment when he stopped being my son and became something else. But you can't build a foundation on what if. You can only work with the materials you have and try to make something solid that'll last. That's what Maggie and I are doing now, building something new on ground we know is solid. Some nights I still hear footsteps in the hallway. But now it's just me, checking the locks and making sure my wife is safe. That's my job now. Not the construction company, not the big contracts. Taking care of the most important structure I ever built, our family. At 58, I learned my most important project isn't built with steel and concrete. It's protecting the people you love. That's a job that never ends. If you're wondering why I'm telling this story, it's because I learned something that might save someone else's family. The people closest to you have the most power to hurt you, but they also leave the most evidence when they try. Trust your instincts. When something feels wrong in your own house, investigate. Don't assume family loyalty works both ways. Pay attention to the details that don't add up, the rehearsed answers, the restricted access, the gradual isolation of your loved ones. Technology can be your ally. Those surveillance cameras aren't just for protecting your property. They can protect your family too. And remember, if you suspect elder abuse or medical fraud, law enforcement wants to help. They have resources and experience you don't. Most importantly, don't let work or pride or the pursuit of financial security blind you to what's happening at home. The biggest construction project you'll ever manage is your family's safety. Stay on that job site. Keep your eyes open. Because the foundation of everything that matters isn't made of concrete. It's made of the people you do anything to protect.